Will runs the largest launch service in the world to pre-sell physical products into the United States.
So 10 years ago, I bought LaunchBoom.com for $9.99 on GoDaddy. What? To help project creators maximize their pre-sales on Kickstarter and Indiegogo by spearheading and pioneering what I call is the most important aspect in all crowdfunding, which honestly, as an entrepreneur, you guys, it makes your life so much easier.
I'm just like, wow, like they knew about this.
Tell me.
We built the largest agency in the world, and then a couple of years ago, I intentionally killed my own agency. Since I pivoted, I have signed over 2,000 new clients. Launching this year, I'd say 600 to 800 products.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. Because everyone thinks they have the best product, right? And I'm sure you've broken a lot of hearts over the years. So how do you investigate that to see what works and what doesn't?
Glad you asked. We don't say yes to everybody. To answer your question directly.
What's up, guys? As you saw in that awesome trailer, we are in for a treat today with the one and only Will Ford, the founder of LaunchBoom. This pod really is 100% practical, tactical, hardcore, how to raise money before actually launching your product, how to actually pre-sell products into America using the LaunchBoom platform in conjunction with Indiegogo and Kickstarter. It's an incredible story. Will's company launches over 600 projects a year, and he tells some incredible stories of companies that have gone on from his services to become businesses that advertise on the Super Bowl and have exited for millions and millions of dollars. You're going to find this really interesting, and we really drove Will on the points of how our audience, mostly Australian entrepreneurs, can use his services launching in the US. You're going to absolutely love it. Our sponsor for the podcast is earlybird.ai, but what I wanted to mention quickly is these guys are now getting very, very full with their bookings. So if you do own a business and you want to get ahead of your competitors in any of the key areas of your business, they will do a 4-step audit of your business for free. So long as you're doing over $500,000 a year in revenue, you qualify for a free audit. You just need to go to earlybird.ai. As I said, these guys are getting so full now in their pipeline. There is going to be a time very soon where they may have a few month delay to get an audit and to become a client of theirs. It's been that successful since we launched. So if you're looking to create efficiencies in your business, save money on overhead, create just a more streamlined, more effective business that can take market share from your competitors, don't miss this chance, because they are now having to hire up and scale up before they can take new clients. So this may be one of the last chances you get. Go to earlybird.ai. It's EARLI, not Y, earlybird.ai, and get your free audit today. You'll understand after this podcast how important relationships can be that can start from a chance meeting that over a decade can form into a deep and meaningful friendship that can, change your life really, as you go about to see. So enjoy the pod. We'll see you on the flip side, and thanks for tuning in. Remember, like and subscribe, and drop a comment. Bye for now. Enjoy the pod. Here's a fun fact about our show. We put a ton of effort into making these podcasts for you. The one thing that we would love for you to do if you actually get value out of the pod is just hit that subscribe button. By doing that, it helps us get better guests on the show because they can see that we have a bigger audience. So if you're enjoying the content, just hit the subscribe button below, and then throughout the podcast, drop a comment so that we know that we're hitting the mark or how we can improve. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the episode. What is up, everybody? Welcome to this episode of Unemployable. Today, we have something really special for you. We have a VIP guest and a very dear friend of mine joining us from the US of A, from La Jolla, California, none other than Will Ford. Will, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing great. Adam, thanks so much for inviting me on the show. Really, really excited to be here, mate.
Mate, we are stoked that you're here, and we're even more impressed that you're working the mate in so early for our Aussie viewers.
Yeah, I caught that as well. Yeah.
Oh, mate, awesome to have you with us. James, how you doing?
Yeah,
nice to have you on the show.
Thanks, mate. Very good indeed. Looking forward to this one. As you've said, you've known Will for a while, but Will's also done some work with past clients of yours. So it's keen to unpack that and just dig into the service that has launched so many things quite successfully.
Yeah, Will has. For those of you listening who don't know who Will is, he has worked with a lot of our clients over the years. He's come to one of our events in Australia before on the Gold Coast, our second last major event, and everyone loved him there. And, it's going to be an awesome show. Eric, how are you, mate? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm glad to hear a
a familiar accent. I'm from Canada originally, and I've been dealing with this Australian accent for the last 17 years. So you did well, mate.
So Will, let's start with just a little bit of background. Let's share with the audience how we connected initially. I'll start it off. Basically, I'd moved to the US in 2012, and about 12 months into being there, I was working in a WeWork office space, building my animation company, and in walks Will, who wanted some videos done for a startup that he was launching with a business partner, Sean. And I was so impressed and became immediate friends with Will. At the end of the meeting, I was like, dude, can I invest in the company? I actually invested in Will's startup at the time. We became really close mates. He ended up inviting me to the Del Mar races in San Diego. I think you were responsible for taking me to the football down there as well, the NFL.
Yeah, we hit the Chargers game in San Diego. And
Nice.
Adam, that was a privilege. They're no longer in San Diego.
Yeah, that's right. They're gone. You taught me what tailgating was and beer ping pong. And I certainly put the charge in Chargers that day, I'll tell you.
Tailgating have a different meaning as it does here.
Yeah.
Usually it's a car or another one. I'm sure it's got a little bit different.
No, there they have tailgate parties, right? So we did beer pong and we did the whole thing.
Not the same ping pong as Thailand, is it?
No, very different to Thailand ping pong. So, Will, how would you describe what you do today? Because you run an amazing company, and you help hundreds of entrepreneurs every year launch products through your company. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing today, and then we'll dive a little bit into your background before we go further into it. But what are you up to today with the LaunchBoom?
Yeah, so I've spent the last decade building the most effective product launch system. And over the last decade, my whole entire goal and focus here at LaunchBoom, it's really all about helping entrepreneurs fail fast and fail cheap with all of their new product ideas. Prior to crowdfunding, prior to LaunchBoom, I had launched multiple products before I even knew what crowdfunding was. And it was, very, very risky in the sense that I had to create my prototype and figure out my manufacturing and then come up with a clever marketing strategy. And then I better be right and keep my fingers crossed so that I can move those units and continue on to grow and scale. Since I discovered crowdfunding more than a decade ago, I've learned a much, much more efficient way to do this. It makes it so much more fun on the entrepreneur side. It significantly reduces the financial risk, and it actually gives you so much data and understanding about that product before you put more time and resource into actually launching it and growing that business.
I think a lot of Australians are not as familiar with crowdfunding as Americans, because it's just not like down here we have sort of platforms, and crowdfunding normally means you're raising equity. There's platforms like Birchal and what are some of the other big ones like GoFundMe kind of. We're familiar with those types of things, but we're not, a lot of listeners, I'm very familiar, but a lot of our listeners won't really know what Kickstarter is or Indiegogo. So maybe you could start by sort of telling us what those platforms are, and so that people understand the concept of crowdfunding at a high level, and then we'll talk about the incredible service layer and value that you guys bring.
Absolutely, Adam. So to take a step back, when I first discovered Kickstarter and Indiegogo, these are the two biggest platforms in America, and they're known as reward-based crowdfunding. So what these platforms really provide entrepreneurs with is they have these massive communities of backers that are looking to pre-buy your product. So there's no equity being exchanged on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo. All we're doing is we're introducing your new product to the world on these platforms. We're able to promote these products to tens of millions of monthly unique visitors that go to these platforms looking for the coolest, newest consumer products. And the beauty of these platforms, you can pre-sell your product idea or prototype before you even have to think about manufacturing and delivery. So as an entrepreneur, what first attracted me to Kickstarter and Indiegogo was the fact that I could literally take a high resolution image or render of a product idea, and I could pre-sell thousands of units on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo. I then get the money off the platform at the end of the campaign, which is normally about 30 days or so. And then I have more than enough capital to potentially place a larger volume order with my manufacturer. And as we all know, when it comes to manufacturing and economies of scale, if you can place a larger volume unit order, you generally get better price breaks per unit. So you can actually increase your profit margin before you've even made anything, because you've already pre-sold the products, you've gotten the money off the platform, and the best part is you've got 6 to 12 months to work through manufacturing and delivery after the Kickstarter campaign, after the Indiegogo campaign. So it's really a much less risky, a much more fun way to validate and test new consumer product ideas.
That seems like a really long time, doesn't it? Like 6 to 12 months, and that's standard for these platforms. Backers will put the money up and wait up to 6 or even 12 months for it.
Yeah, well said, Adam. I mean, the main reason Kickstarter and Indiegogo work so well and have worked so well the last decade plus is because they have these massive amounts of worldwide backers in countries all around the world that have access to Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And the reason they continue to come back is they want access to the coolest products. They want to be able to get the best deal on that product, a discount off retail. So that's important too, that when you're launching a product, you're offering the very best price possible. And then ultimately they want to get that product in their hands first. So as long as you can hit those 3 check boxes, there's a really good chance that you can get a lot of interest on Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and pre-sell thousands of units, which honestly, as an entrepreneur, you guys, it makes your life so much easier when you know that there's demand. You know, you have people that are happy to give you their money now so that they can help you bring that product to life and get it delivered and into their hands.
That's really powerful. I might, Richard, if you take a note while we're talking, throw up, you can do this in post, but throw up a scroll of Indiegogo and Kickstarter, and just so that people watching on YouTube can actually see what these campaigns look like. And it's kind of like a GoFundMe for products, right? Like it's like you set a target and say, we're looking to raise 30 grand, 100 grand, $1 million. And then basically as the pre-purchases go up, you get closer to the goal, right? That's kind of the general.
Yeah. I mean, Adam, I think that's a kind of a great segue into like why LaunchBoom, right? Like why did I decide to create this business? And when I first started launching products on Kickstarter, my whole intention from day one was, hey, what would happen if I took some time before the Kickstarter or the Indiegogo? And what if I actually started doing some pre-marketing myself on Facebook, on Instagram, and start building my own funnel of people that are excited about the product so that when I get to Kickstarter or Indiegogo, I've got my own traffic that I know is probably pretty highly to convert. And so the idea was, can I game and manipulate the Kickstarter Indiegogo platform in my favor? So my whole idea from day one, and it still rings true today, is let's build a super engaged audience through Facebook and Instagram advertising. Once we have a big enough audience that's super engaged, then let's launch on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. And I'll explain why I use which platform here in a moment. But the idea was, let's set a campaign goal that I control based off the pre-launch audience and community build. That's a conservative expectation of what I think is going to convert. And so I don't ever place $1 million funding goal on my Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign, even though that's what I want to raise in all my campaigns. Instead, I like to manipulate the platform by setting a lower goal that I control. So most of my campaign funding goals are going to be between 10 and 50,000. And that's predicated on my pre-launch data that I know I can hit in the first 15 minutes after we go live. So the idea is we set a campaign goal, we have the pre-launch community ready to support that number, we turn on the campaign, the first email that goes out to that audience that I build converts first. When that happens, it's what I call the LaunchBoom effect. Once we hit that goal right out of the gates, then Kickstarter starts to see all this outside traffic coming into their platform and converting really well. They start to promote the sale. They make us a project they love. They give us top placement on their platform. Eventually, they start to promote us in their newsletters while we're live. When this happens, we get this massive organic lift to the tens of millions of backers that are there looking for cool projects. So when this happens, that, $10,000, $50,000 goal very quickly becomes 6 or 7 figures in US dollars by the end of the campaign. So that's kind of high level how my system works and why I decided to start LaunchBoom, because in the beginning, when I was launching my own products, I was looking for a LaunchBoom to help me, and they didn't exist.
Yeah.
And Adam, that's when that light bulb went off. I was like, wait a minute. I did my research. I'm like, wow, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, they are growing by leaps and bounds every single year. And I believe that they're going to be here 10 years from now. So 10 years ago, I bought LaunchBoom.com for $9.99 on GoDaddy. Yeah. And I basically found just a handful of these super bright marketers here in San Diego that I was already working with at the time. And I convinced them to partner with me to help take LaunchBoom into the crowdfunding world. And my whole goal was to become the #1 world agency in the crowdfunding space to help project creators maximize their pre-sales on Kickstarter and Indiegogo by spearheading and pioneering what I call pre-launch today. So pre-launch is the most important aspect and part of the crowdfunding process when it comes to, honestly, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, but all crowdfunding, even equity crowdfunding, which we can touch on later. But the idea is, let's build our own focused audience of people that are excited about your project, that are excited about buying your product, and then let's launch when we know how to control the outcome. And we've been doing this the last decade. We built the largest agency in the world. And then a couple of years ago, I intentionally killed my own agency that was the largest in the world to turn LaunchBoom into something so much greater than it ever could have been as an agency. And so a couple of years ago, we created what we call LaunchBoom 2.0, which is now a coaching consulting platform with elevated technology, which allows us to reduce our costs. So now what we're doing in essence is we're making it even more affordable so that we can help more entrepreneurs validate and test all their product ideas for even less risk and even faster. So anyway,
that's a phenomenal entree into this whole area, and I'm sure you guys have got plenty of questions, and I've got some as well, and James as well. Can you just give us a sense of how big are these platforms in terms of how much money are they raising a year, and how many products are you guys launching a year now through LaunchBoom?
Yeah, so I'd say Kickstarter just breached $7 billion. And to give you guys an idea, like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, they both opened their doors around the same time back in 2009. Indiegogo was first, Kickstarter was right behind them. They both have done phenomenal over the last, 15 years. And so over the last 15 years, Kickstarter has definitely raised the most amount. They've raised over $7 billion. Indiegogo, I believe, is like somewhere between 3 and 4 billion, but they're still performing very, very well. And there are certain verticals, Adam, that depend on where we direct our clients. So there's certain verticals that do really well on Indiegogo and not so well on Kickstarter. And then there are other verticals that just crush it on Kickstarter that outperform Indiegogo. So when clients come into LaunchBoom, we remain agnostic. We have great relationships with both platforms, and we just make sure that we're steering our clients to the right platform to maximize their pre-sale.
Yeah, that's amazing. And how many projects a year are you handling now, do you think, at LaunchBoom? Just give us a sense of how many people.
Yeah. Sorry, I totally didn't answer your question. So I would say when I started LaunchBoom in 2014, 2015, we basically, from 2015 to 2021, we launched over 1,000 successful campaigns on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo as an agency. Since I pivoted away from agency to this coaching consulting platform 2 years ago, I have signed over 2,000 new clients using the new improved model. So we're launching this year, I'd say probably somewhere between 600 to 800 products this year. Okay. I mean, today, like Adam, today we launched 11 products.
Wow. Okay, so 600 to 800 a year, did you say?
Yeah, somewhere in that range. And we've got some exciting developments with both Indiegogo and Kickstarter currently. Yeah. So we are expecting a lot more growth for the second half of this year.
Have you got a squeaky chair there or something? Is it something's like a little squeaky in the background?
No, I just had a dog just rip out of its kennel and jump on me.
I was wondering what was going on. I thought it was...
So Adam, fortunately, I just got rid of it, but that That's why I was kind of stuttering a little bit there for a minute.
No, that's cool. Okay. So 600 to 800 projects a year going through LaunchBoom right now. That's incredible. So do you guys want to jump in with some questions or, yeah?
So sorry, Adam, we have a lot more projects coming through, but remember there's that pre-launch time and some of our clients go faster than others. So when I say 600 to 800, I'm talking actual product launches in a calendar year.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
I'm just going, wow, this is because it really helps, especially for Aussies, because Australia is such a small country compared to the US. Like our whole country is smaller than California. So, it's hard for Australians to understand a platform where there's 600 to 800 projects going a year just through LaunchBoom, let alone through the rest of the ecosystems that you're describing. And that there are lists with millions of people on these lists, because I know you yourself, part of the benefit of going with LaunchBoom, which we'll loop back to later, is access to the lookalike data that you guys have collected. Like I think you said you got 9 million, backers of previous projects, and you can use that data to help people target people who buy on these platforms. We'll loop back to that later. So all I'm trying to say for the listeners at home, Will runs the largest launch service in the world for the two largest launching platforms in the world to pre-sell physical products into the United States through crowdfunding. So in a nutshell, that's what Will does. So yeah, listen up.
What's your conversion rate like in regards to people approaching you? Because everyone thinks they have the best product, right? And I'm sure you've broken a lot of hearts over the years going, this actually, I can't take this product. This isn't going to work on these platforms. So how do you investigate that? Do you have like a 10-point checklist that you go through, or what type of investigations do you do in market research, I guess, to see what works and what doesn't?
No, it's a great question. And I'm glad you asked it, because for us, it has to be the right product fit. Otherwise, we're going to say no. We don't say yes to everybody. And so to answer your question directly, we probably have 1,000 leads come through our sales system every single month. And of the 1,000 leads that come through, we close 100 of them, about 10%.
Wow.
So again, for us, it's got to be the right product. It's got to be at the right stage, which is basically ready to get started with our system and crowdfunding in general. And again, we do have a qualification process. So usually the way it works is step one is the lead comes in. Our sales team is divided into two teams. We have a SDR team, which is a qualifying team. If the deal is qualified, then it gets set on a closer calendar. And then we got a closing team, which will actually take them into the system. It will set proper expectations, answer all questions, and then we'll close the deal and onboard the project into LaunchBoom. So we've got this.
Go ahead. Sorry, Will.
Yeah, we've got this process dialed in. But for us, it's really, really important that it is the right product and it's the right client fit, because that's how we deliver the best possible experience. And honestly, that's how we reduce headaches across the board.
Now, if we've got a lot of people that watch the pod that are looking to get into business, we've got coaching clients looking for that right product. With the pre-launch, right, and people investigating the product and not having to purchase it and just doing some market research and getting some prototypes, what's an average cost that you've seen across the board of, these, thousands of clients that you've dealt with? Would you need $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 to start something like this? So, just so people can understand, because a lot of people have glass ceilings in regards to funding and, I can't afford this, right? That's one of the biggest hurdles that people have.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad you asked the question. So this is a reason I'm so grateful for our business pivot. When we were an agency, we really could only work with funded startups. So for the first 8 years of LaunchBoom's existence, we were the best agency in our space, but the biggest problem I had with it was I could only help funded startups. I couldn't help underfunded startups. So when we were an agency, the previous business model, the way it worked was it was a $50,000 US cost to work with us. Half of that would go into the marketing and video production cost. The other half would go into the advertising budget, which is the most important budget for driving the traffic, doing the pre-launch work, maximizing the live campaign. And then we would take a 10% commission off the gross sale. That was like how my agency model worked for the first 8 years. Once we killed that model and we pivoted to coaching consulting, I was able to drop the cost drastically, because the whole purpose in doing this was so that we could help everyone who has a product idea, not just the funded startups. We wanted to be able to help people all over the world that have those awesome product ideas that just haven't had the courage or the budgets to start. So today, the way our pricing works is basically there's one cost up front. It's a fraction of that 50,000. On average, it's about 10,000. And that $10,000 cost basically covers everything you need from start to finish with LaunchBoom. Now, there is an additional budget that's almost as important, if not more important, than what we take at LaunchBoom. That's going to be your ad spend, your ad budget. The beauty of where we are today at LaunchBoom is we have spent the last 10 years building a pre-launch system that allows us to do the validation and testing for very, very small amounts of ad spend. So on average, like I said, Adam, like we're going to have 600 to 800 launches this year, right? All those clients that are launching this year, when they went through our first step of our pre-launch process, they spent on average $1,500 in ad spend. And they're able to leverage our technology, and they're able to also leverage our 10 million plus backer database that we can basically give them access to leverage for lookalike audiences and targeting purposes on Facebook and Instagram to keep that cost as low as possible. So the beauty of my system is once a client comes into LaunchBoom and we do the validation and testing during pre-launch and we deploy that $1,500 average ad spend, at the end of that budget, we actually now have more than enough data to tell our clients, okay, the data is positive. It looks like we can raise $250,000 on Kickstarter. Let's add another $20,000 in ad spend, because we're going to be able to generate the outcome you need to support all of your manufacturing and delivery costs and come out with meat on the bone and actually have a profit to reinvest into your continued growth and scale, right? So at the end of the day, there is a cost for LaunchBoom, which is a one-time cost. We take no commission anymore because we don't have to, because now we're dealing with so much more volume versus when we were an agency.
Yep.
And secondly, we have technology built and we've got data that we're able to share that allows us to keep our ad spend super low to at least get the initial data out where we can help our clients and better direct them with, okay, this is the type of budget we're looking for now to be able to raise $1 million if you're looking to raise $1 million or more, right? But it's all a function of maximizing ROI on ad spend and understanding what that looks like as early as possible for the lowest possible risk.
That's great. Thank you. Now, do you have a lot of repeat clients? Like, I'm assuming this could be quite addicted in regards to launching these products and having success. And if people understand the requirements that your business has for a product launch, they could do it multiple times over and over again. Does that happen a lot?
Yeah, it does. And so I'll tell you all a funny story. And Adam, Adam Hudson, guys, this guy is probably one of the coolest entrepreneurs I know, one of the most successful entrepreneurs I know. And Adam always has great ideas. And so I talked to Adam earlier this month. I was actually in Mexico when we connected, and he's got a really, really great new product that I think is a good fit for what we do here at LaunchBoom. And so I immediately put Adam on a call with my product launch director, a great guy named Kevin Liang. And Kevin was actually the reason I started LaunchBoom. He was my very first client at LaunchBoom. And at that time, I was also an advisor to Kevin. And Kevin went through 6 product launches using the LaunchBoom system when we were an agency. And he eventually sold his company. And he called me up and he goes, Will, what am I going to do? I'm 26 years old. I'm not ready to retire. I want to keep going, but I don't know what my next step's going to be. And for me, I laughed. I was like, Kevin, this is a no-brainer, man. You're going to help me build LaunchBoom. You helped me build my company. You know my company inside and out better than I do even. I want you on my team. So he goes, well, Will, I've never worked for anyone before. And I said, well, Kevin, I think that's why this is going to work. Because you're going to come in here. There's not going to be too much management. And if you don't like it, you can leave. Go start your next company. Because Kevin's also very entrepreneurial. So Kevin's like, okay, well, this sounds good. I'll come work with you for a few months until I figure out my next big deal. And he came in and he has absolutely just thrived. And he's added so much value. He helps us lead our podcast here at LaunchBoom called Masters of Crowdfunding, if you guys want to learn more about crowdfunding. And he's just been a super huge asset to my team. So yes, Kevin did 6 launches with us before he decided to come help us build LaunchBoom. We also have many serial crowdfunder clients that continue to do this maybe once a year, maybe twice a year. I'd say if you're going to do this multiple times a year, it's probably best to do it, like I'd say, twice a year. You don't want to do it too much, but you definitely want to kind of carry that momentum into continued launches, because what we do find is if you're launching a product for a brand and you have a great launch on Kickstarter, and then you come out with a new product for that same brand, you're going to have an even bigger outcome, because those same backers are going to back you again. And then you take it through the LaunchBoom process and you build an even larger audience, you're going to have bigger and bigger outcomes.
That's great.
That makes a lot of sense with Kevin, because he had a decent exit himself as an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a lot of fun working with Kevin. And so Adam, when I met you with my last company, Petbox, Kevin actually came into my office and he was like, hey, Will, he's like, I'm thinking about launching this product. And he was at UCST. He was a college student. And Adam, like you, I'm a sucker for a young, bright entrepreneur, right? You just want to give him the shirt off your back and give him all the knowledge and help you can. That's kind of like Kevin. Kevin came in and he was prepared for the meeting, and he had this awesome aquaponic fish tank. And he, at the time, Adam, he wanted to market to the Petbox audience, which honestly, I loved him for asking. But at that point, Adam, we were going through that transition and exit. So I told him we couldn't hit that list. We had to protect it. And so I said, well, what's your plan? And he goes, I want to launch this on Kickstarter. And he had a first launch on Kickstarter that did really well. I think he turned $5,000 into like $75,000 in pre-sales, and he was thrilled. So he goes, my next plan, Will, is to put $30,000 into pre-launch and turn that into $300,000 in sales. And I said, Kevin, let's do it. And so I helped him with the $30,000 he was looking for, because he was a broke college kid. And we put it into this pre-launch process, and we turned the 30 grand into $750,000 in pre-sales.
Yeah.
How good is that?
And Adam, that's right around the time when the light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never seen a return like that on any ad budget. And so that's when I really started to kind of dig deeper into Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and that's when I realized, wow, there is a need for LaunchBoom.
Yeah.
And there are entrepreneurs all over the world that need support and help. So
that's American dollars, not Aussie pesos, ladies and gentlemen. That's over $1 billion Aussie.
And speaking, you said all over the world, just to clarify for the listeners and viewers out there, we've got Australian, obviously customers of yours and our clients of Adam's that have launched on those platforms through LaunchBoom. Is the main audience, just for clarity, if you had an Australian product that you wanted to launch into Australia, is there an audience for those platforms in Australia specifically, or is it mainly the US that they're selling into?
I mean, so truth being told, you can, Kickstarter and Indiegogo, they allow a variety of countries to purchase from their platform, right? So the beauty of our system at LaunchBoom, and especially with Kickstarter and Indiegogo, is that because we're doing all the community build with Facebook and Instagram advertising, we can geo-target, right? So let's just say we have a product and we think it's going to appeal to Aussies, and let's just say the UK and Canada and the US. We can do all of our pre-launch targeting in those countries. So it's really up to us where we target and where we move product. This is also an important question too, because a lot of my clients are manufacturing all over the world. And at least in the early stages, they're limited to where they can ship and where they can't ship. So we also need to be strategic about where we target every product that we're launching.
And with that then, also, notwithstanding your due diligence checklist before you take them on, if someone was to go direct to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, there's the same rigorous process, I'm sure. Like, they're not going to just take any product, and the benefit that comes through you is it's going to be a surefire winner, and you're going to learn from a minor test here of $1,500 before you can go and get on their platform.
Yeah, I mean, to be brutally direct and honest with you guys, because I feel like this is a platform where I can be honest. At the end of the day, guys, being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's hard. And I've made mistakes previously in my entrepreneurial journey where I was super passionate about a product idea and I would put huge amounts of money into it. And I would basically do all this research, development, marketing. I would launch, and then I would keep my fingers crossed and I would hope I was right so that I would see, my business grow and flourish and turn it into a massive profit. And that's not always the case. And so really what we've done at LaunchBoom is we've built the world's best system to help consumer product creators fail fast and fail cheap. I wish 10 years ago, Adam, I wish when you and I first met, I wish I could say, hey, Adam, here's 10 grand. Tell me in 6 weeks if I should put more time and money in this idea.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And just on that there as well, just for absolute clarity as well, like we said about the LaunchBoom, it's not giving away equity, it's pre-sellers, pre-orders. But people with SaaS, is it this appropriate as well, as physical products only? Like if they've got a SaaS MVP they're putting together, can people buy a 12-month subscription up front for a heavy discount? Again, SaaS or product only? What's it look like for LaunchBoom?
Yeah, so SaaS products, that would if a SaaS product came into my lead gen system, we would redirect it a different direction. Those type of projects, for whatever reason, don't perform as well on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo. Really, where I've seen the most success over the last decade are physical, tangible consumer products. It could be apparel. It could be consumer tech, gadgets. We've seen a lot of success with e-bikes. We've seen a lot of success the last few years in the tabletop gaming space. Believe it or not, guys, but tabletop gaming, I mean, I would have laughed 5 years ago if I told you that was one of my best verticals today.
What is tabletop gaming?
Tabletop games, Adam, are like tabletop board games.
Board games.
Like Monopoly.
Yeah.
And what's wild is the tabletop game category on Kickstarter is one of their top categories. To create a board game is very inexpensive and it's not hard to do. And as long as you have some creativity and some thought behind it, we're raising tens of millions of dollars a year.
Americans, and I think Aussies, again, this is a cultural difference.
Yeah.
Americans love that stuff. Like that, they're really communal with their families and parties. Like when I was in LA, I would go around to Will's place and I learned to play poker with these guys, and like they're very social. And that's, Australians suck at this, Will, by the way. We don't. We have barbecues and get drunk. We don't play board games. Not like Americans. And Americans are really, and I mean this as a real compliment, they're sort of childlike in that approach to things. They have those communal games. Adults are playing Monopoly, and I think it's a great thing. So I think Australians, you should really listen to what Will's saying here, because they're really all about family and community.
Pulling that thread a bit further, you said like multiple e-bikes. I mean, going back just for, again, clarity, how many different variations of e-bikes can you have? If you were to have 4 or 5 different styles of e-bikes coming in from 4 or 5 different suppliers, I mean, how different can they be for you to say, okay, I'll do all 4 because they're that differentiated? Is that the main driver?
Yeah, I mean, we've launched so many electric bikes on Indiegogo. Indiegogo is the platform. If you are out there and you're listening and you have an e-bike or an e-bike company you want to start, go to Indiegogo. We've had so many $1 million campaigns in the e-bike category. So, back to one of the earlier questions about like, hey, what type of price point does well on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo? And honestly, like what I've seen over the last 10 years, like if you can have an average order value of $100 or higher, and I prefer it to be higher, you can generate so much pre-sale revenue on these platforms. What I love about e-bikes, guys, is that e-bikes are usually not that cheap. They're probably a few $1,000s if it's a really good looking e-bike and good quality e-bike. So, all I have to do is sell 1,000 units at $3,000 a pop, and there's a multi-million-dollar campaign right there.
Yep. One thing I think would be really good to dive into, when I did my call with Kevin, who is a legend, by the way, really enjoyed the call, was when you talked about like the power, like what became clear to me was that when you hire LaunchBoom, you're getting access to all the intellectual property and process and to borrow, which I do want to come back to that lookalike audience that you mentioned, because when people hear 10 million customers that are already bought off Kickstarter that are in your possession, I want them to understand how that works. But what you guys are essentially doing is kind of creating a line outside of a nightclub, right? So you're running ads saying, hey, this product's going to be launching on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. Click here to pre-register your interest, kind of thing. And it goes to a landing page where, let's say it's this new energy drink. Not that that's probably innovative enough, but people can go there and sign up for $1 to reserve their product and go on the notification list and be guaranteed, that they're going to get that product when the launch time comes. Hey guys, hope you're enjoying the pod. I just want to take a quick moment to share a quick story with you about something going on in one of my businesses right now. We are using artificial intelligence to send a voice clone of myself directly into our customers' voicemail inboxes the moment after they purchase our product. Well, not the moment, a few minutes after. So with our toilets business, Dry Flush, people put in their name, their email, their phone number when they order the toilets. 5 minutes later, their phone rings once and it goes straight to their voicemail. And we're using an AI that clones my voice and says, hey, Terry, if that's their name, grabbing the name from the order form using my voice, it drops a customized voicemail to say, hey, Terry, what's going on? Adam here from Dry Flush. Just want to say thank you so much for ordering one of our toilets. Sorry I missed you. I just wanted to let you know that we appreciate your business. If there's anything you need, just send us an email at hello@dryflush.com.au. And that goes out to every customer every time a few minutes after the purchase. This is what the team at earlybird.ai are building for us right now, as along with some other very, very cool solutions that are going to increase customer experience, increase the number of 5-star reviews we get, and automate the amazing experience that we are aiming to provide when you buy from our e-commerce store. So if you want to learn about that and your business is doing over $500,000 a year, you qualify for a free audit with the team at earlybird.ai. That's EARLI, earlybird.ai. And they will do an audit of your business and show you how they can put artificial intelligence like that into your business, whether it's voice cloning, video, face cloning, all kinds of amazing technologies that are available right now. So go over there, get your free audit, and enjoy the rest of the podcast. So they're basically paying $1 to join a list to go on the launch. And so what Kevin was saying to me, that those people are like 30 times more likely to buy than somebody who isn't, the people who put $1 in. And that is really powerful, but you also get then the retargeting data. And I think this is a really interesting thing that you guys help with. It's just so powerful.
Yeah, Adam, you know what? That's a good segue here. So let me just kind of like explain how LaunchBoom actually works.
That'd be
so. So Adam, basically, we talked earlier this month. He's got a really cool product idea. I'm not going to share it because Adam, I'm not sure if you want me to.
No public.
But Adam, yeah. So Adam's got a really cool product idea, and he goes, "Will, I think this is a good fit for what you guys do." I'm like, "It is." So basically, the way this will work is Adam will come into LaunchBoom, and when he gets onboarded as a client, he's going to complete a product questionnaire. He's going to give us all the information we need. The reason we need that information is we have an AI system already built out as part of our platform that allows us very quickly to do a market research analysis to show Adam who his competitors are in this space currently. Second thing we can do very quickly with the AI is we can do a price analysis. So we can show Adam, hey, this is what your competitors are selling for. This is actually how much we think you can get per unit sold through our system. Third thing we can do is based on those 2 data points, we can also help Adam understand his messaging and positioning for marketing. What sets Adam apart from his competitors? What makes Adam superior, unique, better than everyone else? That's really important for the messaging, the marketing side. And then the last and final most important piece is it's going to help Adam understand who his target audience is. Who should Adam be marketing to? Who is going to want to buy Adam's product? We're going to tell him exactly what those target audiences look like. And it may not just be one audience, it might be several, but we have to test that first to figure that out. So once we have all that output to Adam, now Adam can very easily start to set up his reservation funnel. So what I haven't talked about yet is what we pioneered here at LaunchBoom. It's called pre-launch, but the real game changer for us was what we call the reservation funnel. So I called this the reservation funnel, but in truth, I took the idea from Elon Musk. Elon Musk, many years ago, he decided to pre-sell his Cybertruck. And I don't know if any of you guys remember this, but in America, it was a big deal. And so Elon Musk said, hey, if you put $100 reservation down, you're going to be guaranteed one of the first Cybertrucks off the assembly line once we get it through production. And so he ended up raising extraordinary amounts of money. I don't remember that exact figure, but it was like hundreds of millions of dollars in $100 reservation payments that allowed him to support a lot of that development and production cost. So I remember being like, wow, I wonder if that would work for crowdfunding. The reason why is because before the reservation funnel, I was doing it like every other marketing team. I would run some Facebook, Instagram ads. I'd drive traffic to a landing page and I'd say, hey, give us your email and we'll notify you when we launch. And would build a list, and that list would convert at 3%, 4% every time. And that wasn't good enough for me. I'm like, I want to be able, Adam, to your point, I want to be able to get 30% or higher conversions. And so we took it a step further and we introduced the reservation funnel. And fortunately, we did this super early after starting LaunchBoom. I want to say within our first 2 years, we were starting to micro test and split test those reservation funnels. So the idea was, well, okay, you run a Facebook, Instagram ad, you click on the advertisement. Now we're going to direct you to a reservation page. It looks just like a landing page. It will show you some images of the product or renders of the product. And it will have that messaging and positioning laid out there. And then there's a call to action. And the call to action will say, sign up, get the best deal today before we launch on Kickstarter, just like Elon Musk, except all you have to do is place a $1 money back guarantee deposit, and we're going to guarantee you early delivery and the best deal today before we go live. So we don't really care about that dollar as much as we care about the transaction. People don't stop and transact unless they're serious about committing to a deal. So when we stack that reservation funnel through our pre-launch process, and then we turn on the Kickstarter or the Indiegogo campaign, it makes it super easy to control the outcome for every single one of our clients.
This converts 30 times higher than the people who opt in for free, is what Kevin was saying.
Exactly. And to be even more specific, Adam, like we actually keep that number super conservative. So let's just say we have 1,000 reservations. Adam, we're getting ready to launch your product tomorrow, right? We got those 1,000 reservations. We're excited to turn this thing on and pre-sell the hell out of it. What we're going to do is we're going to basically set Adam's campaign goal. So Adam, I'm just making this number up, but Adam's going to sell this product for $100 a unit. That's going to be the average order value when we get to Kickstarter. So if we have 1,000 reservations, we're going to set Adam's Kickstarter goal at $30,000 US, because we know as soon as we go live with that first email blast, within the first 14 minutes, we're going to have $30,000 or more funded, because we'll have 300 or more sales, 30% or much, much higher than that. And we've had some huge conversion rates, Adam.
You go ahead.
Yeah, we always like to be as conservative as possible, because the truth is it's really important. It's more important that you crush that funding goal as soon as you launch than it is to have $1 million goal. See, the problem is if you put $1 million goal on your product and you come in at 950,000 at the end of the 30 days, your project is unsuccessful. You don't get the funding out of the platform. So you have to hit that funding goal. So what we do here at LaunchBoom is we just stack the deck using our reservation funnel. We launch when we know how to control the outcome. And eventually, the most important part is we want to raise more than enough money to make it easier for our clients to manufacture and deliver to that.
The other part of that was fascinating was that you were saying, or Kevin was saying, that you also, by getting the $1 transaction, you can now identify to Facebook, this is my guy or this is my girl. And when you collect 1,000 people in the reservation funnel, it's now a transaction which enables you to create lookalike audiences, and you unlock the cookie jar at Meta. Is that kind of right?
Yeah, that's definitely a huge aspect to it.
That's super clever, Will. Like, because you've actually got people buying and transacting.
Yeah, customer versus lead.
Yeah, you're identifying real customers as opposed to, just interested parties. So very powerful.
And Adam, not to get super technical, because I wish I had some slides where I could show data and everything, but not to get super technical, but just to take a step back, right? So great, we're building a reservation funnel, but the real question is how are we maximizing and stacking that funnel? And the way we're doing it, the reason we're able to do so much with such a little ad budget is because of the data we're sitting on. So we have today over 10 million backers that have purchased one or more products from our client campaigns over the last decade. And we've retained and we continue to grow that database. The beauty of our system today is as a client, you have access to those audiences. So once we help you understand what targets are more realistic to convert, we're going to allow you to pull those backer audiences out of our database, upload them into your Facebook and Instagram account, and create that lookalike targeting. And so basically just dropping our assets or advertisements in the organic feeds of these people that have already had one or more successful transactions on it.
So to be clear, if you had an e-bike that you're going to launch, you could say, here's all the people that have bought e-bike or similar before. You're not going to give them their name and email address, but you're going to give them the data that they need to create a lookalike audience based on them. Is that's
Exactly.
basic? And is it segmented on your side? So you could say like health and fitness folks, here's the data, e-bike folks, here's the data. Is that kind of how that works?
That's exactly how it works.
That's incredible.
It's
exactly
funny because I've got a friend that they've launched an e-bike business. He actually works for us in one of our businesses, and they filled a container up. They did the design and prototypes and marketing and bits and pieces, and now they have a warehouse full of these bikes, and they're like trying to pick up momentum. Trying to get marketing spend, and they're pulling their hair out. And I'm just like, wow, like if they knew about this. They could just go and spend a 10 grand. They're probably in for over 100 grand. They could go and spend 10 grand 10 times. Surely, you got to hit one product.
And ship the product afterwards. Like we just had a guy on, the pod was released on Tuesday, and he pre-sold saunas, and he hit 8-figure run rate in 90 days. And he was pre-selling them just by running traffic to a Shopify shop that said ships between these dates. He didn't even have the inventory, and he hit $1 million a month within the first 3 months without having the stock. So this is sort of the same thing, but you raise a good point, because it's important for listeners to understand that if you're going to use Will's services and Indiegogo and Kickstarter, it's got to be sold there first. It can't be already being sold online.
That was one question we had. So
you have to be launching on their platform, because they thrive on new, innovative products that the market hasn't seen. And I think those two words are really important, new and innovative, because no matter what, Will is not going to be able to sell a shit product. No matter, so what he's saying between the lines, in case you're missing it here, he'll let you find out for 10 grand whether you actually have product market fit. It's like a 10 grand mum test, right? Rather than asking your mum whether it's going to work, you can ask real customers and find out for 10 grand. So that is limiting your loss, because he'll tell you, because what's going to happen is they're going to spend money on meta ads. You're going to find out what it costs for them to join your reservation list. And then you can extrapolate from that and the conversion rate, whether or not this is going to be profitable and your margin in your particular use case. This is what Will's saying.
Now,
that's exactly right. But the only benefit is if you take a product, you plug it into my system, we do the validation, we do the testing, the data is positive, right? There is no more LaunchBoom cost. You're already in the program. You will continue to get access to our tools, our team, our data to continue not only through pre-launch, but also through the entirety of the Indiegogo and Kickstarter campaign. Our goal is to maximize the outcomes of all these launches, because at the end of the day, if we do this right, and Adam, what I haven't touched on is like the best part about what we're doing is before we even go live on Kickstarter or Indiegogo, we actually spend time with our clients to understand how much do you actually need to raise, right? Everyone's different. Like Adam, you might need to raise 100 grand to be able to support your manufacturing and shipping. Another client might need $1 million. Right? It might be a more complicated, sophisticated type development. And so every client that we work with, we make sure we understand how much they actually need to raise before we go live. Because if we know what that number is, we just continue to stack our reservation funnel. So that's the major mechanism.
What Will's getting at is there's some projects, like these unique electrified surfboards when they were first coming out, the ones with the keels, or the famous Esky, right, where they had a margarita maker on the top and it raised $12 million on Kickstarter. They had the concept and the renders, but then they need all the molds made and the patents put in, whatever it is. So they need to raise $1 million for molds, engineering, and all that stuff, whereas some simplified products are much less. But it is really important that you understand what he's saying about the lead funnel stuff. If you're getting people joining your reservation list for $20, and they know that it converts 30% of the time after that, then you can quickly see this is positive data. But if they're joining at $200 and your product is $200, you're screwed. So you're going to find out pretty quick when they put all that together for you and get you the best data and get you going. You'll find out quickly.
Just back to one part of that service, when you've changed from agency now to the consultancy side, and that $10,000 entry fee, and then you've got a minimal ad budget. You've got all the data from LaunchBoom, which is great. Just for absolute clarity for the audience, who's running those ads to make sure they fire? Is it your team running the ads through the customer's account, or is it the customer on their own through some training for you? Just some clarity around who's going to pull the trigger on the ads to make sure this thing goes off.
Yeah, I agree with Adam. Great question. It's actually probably one of the most important questions that has been asked, because, like I said in the beginning, and it rings true all the way through, advertising is the most important part of the crowdfunding process, whether you do this with me or without me. And so today we have over 2,000 active clients in our system at various stages of the process. And so some of them are well-funded. They have their own ad teams. So running ads is easy for them. They just follow our process and system and leverage our tools and data to maximize return. We have other clients. I'd say more than 50% of our clients are very, very green entrepreneurs, maybe launching their first or second product, right? Very early stage. And a lot of them need ad support, or they ask us for ad support. So if a client comes into LaunchBoom and they don't want to run ads, they don't feel comfortable running ads, we have a short list of some of the best advertisers in the world that used to be on my team when I was an agency. So when I pivoted away from agency to coaching consulting, I convinced a handful of my best advertisers to become independent contractors so that they could work directly with our clients that need ad support. So we do have access to incredible advertisers that really are the best when it comes to crowdfunding and maximizing these reservation funnels. So we basically have something for everyone. So if you come in, you don't want to advertise, like that's not for you, we have a solution. If you're a big, company and you have your own marketing team and your own ad team, obviously you don't need ad support. You already have it.
Cool. That's a good answer to that question. So back to the actual, in the $10,000 package, the consulting and coaching, who's building the reservation page and who's doing what, essentially, is what I'm trying to get to?
I would say that's probably the biggest breakthrough, besides creating the reservation funnel concept. So when we were an agency, we used to have to manually build those as an agency specific to every client we worked with. And it took a lot of time, and it was very expensive to do that compared to where we are today. Today, what we've done is we built a custom reservation funnel builder as part of our platform. So what's really cool is that we already have the themes, we already have different layouts. So as soon as our clients come in and we work through messaging, positioning, pricing, now it's time to build the reservation page. So we built this where someone who's never run ads before, someone who's never launched a product before, can just drag and drop messaging, imagery, and they can actually build their own reservation funnel within minutes.
So it's like a ClickFunnels essentially, but specifically for LaunchBoom.
Correct.
You got to log into the LaunchBoom portal in the back end, which is really cool.
I just want to say I love this business model. Will, you've done a great job. I'm just sitting here just going, wow, the scalability of this thing is unbelievable.
It's absolutely brilliant.
And I love that you're actually giving an average person a chance to crack the market, because like you said, entrepreneurship is hard. Entrepreneurship is very expensive. And what you're doing is giving people a lot more of a chance and hope that they can come up with a product idea and take it to market. So I just want to say, what a business model. Well done.
I appreciate that. I mean, I got to tell you guys, what keeps me fired up, having been doing this for 10 years, today, what keeps me genuinely excited to wake up every day is the fact that I've had dozens and dozens of literally ordinary people reach out to me with a really cool product idea. And again, their goal is to leave their day job and be unemployable so that they can have their own business and go on and have a massive exit. And since I've been doing this 10 years, guys, I've had dozens of clients who were basically just like your ordinary guy off the street, had a good idea, trusted our team, trusted our system, had a big successful Kickstarter Indiegogo, went on to scale and exit.
Can you give us one example, Will, just for the people, because everyone loves a good story. Like, who's just one example of a person, a couple that came to you, saw this, had a great idea, and the full journey? Because I'm going to tell you how I view this in a minute for the listeners and why I talk to Will, because I see this as one important step in a process. But maybe you could just tell us one or some big stories just for people to really relate to the human side of this.
Yeah, so I would say we have tons of stories on LaunchBoom.com, but just one of my favorites was a local San Diego guy. Like early on after starting LaunchBoom, this local San Diego guy named Jack Haldridge. He was just like this super nice surfer guy, always wearing flip-flops. He had an idea to start a soap company, right? And I met with him, and he had a really great product, an organic soap bar. And he came in and he showed me the product, and I'm like, wow, this stuff's great. He gave me a bunch of samples to take home, and he wanted to start a company called Dr. Squatch. And so we ended up taking him through this is back in my agency days. We took him through our agency process. We helped them raise 6 figures in pre-sales and we were just selling bars of soap, Dr. Squatch soap. He ended up going on to e-commerce and Amazon and even retail. And I'll never forget this, like about 3 years ago, he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, Will, you watching the Super Bowl?" For all those Aussies listening, Super Bowl is one of the biggest, most fun days in America. It's like our big football championship, American football, that is. And so long story short, he goes, "Will, I've got a Super Bowl ad running this year." And I'm like, "Get out of here." So sure enough, everyone in America is watching the Super Bowl. There's Dr. Squatch commercials going live on air. Shortly after that, I bumped into him in San Diego, and he goes, "Will, I just had a massive exit for hundreds of millions of dollars." And he lives up the road from me in La Jolla. He lives on a beautiful giant compound. And it couldn't have happened to a better human being. Like this guy, and he's still only like maybe 36, 37 years old. But
dude, I thought I was doing well wrapping a Gold Coast City bus here, and you're going to getting $7 million Super Bowl ads.
Goes to show you the size of the U.S. market, selling your business for hundreds of millions, selling bars of soap. And this is what I love about LaunchBoom as well, is it's allowing, us Australians in this big land with 25 million people to access, U.S. and the world where there's hundreds of millions of people and
who love to buy stuff.
Yeah, that are just true consumers. Now, if I'm an ideas guy and I've got 10 different product ideas, but very early on, right? Can I ring LaunchBoom and say, "Hey, I've got 10 product ideas. Can I sit and consult with someone and just go through them so you can actually keep me sane on, which ones are actually going to work here or not?" Do you guys do that, or does the consumer have to do that on their own and then come to you with, say, 1 or 2?
No, we have those calls every day, so like I said, we have on average 1,000 product ideas coming through our lead gen channels every single month.
Yeah.
And a lot of those calls that come in are exactly that person. They've got a handful of ideas. They're just trying to figure out which one to like really get behind and start somewhere. And in most cases, when they come into LaunchBoom, let's just say they have the product idea, and let's just say they have one idea or several ideas that we think are great. We're going to actually direct them to, we have a couple different manufacturing partners. And what these guys will do, I love these guys, because what they'll do is they'll take those ideas, they'll actually design the products, create the CAD, and they'll actually turn that into a photorealistic render. And really what we need today at LaunchBoom, we don't even need a prototype anymore. We just need a beautiful photo render to be able to plug into our pre-launch system to do the validation testing and entire crowdfunding process. So in most cases, those people that come into LaunchBoom, we end up getting them plugged into like low cost manufacturing designers At the end of the day, like I want a product I know we can make and deliver, and I want an idea of what it's going to cost. It's the only way I can actually help these people.
Have you ever had a person do it with just an AI render and not using any external kind of consultants like that? Just because we've been playing with AI a fair bit, and some of the stuff that you can do is unbelievable.
So we may have, to be honest. Sometimes we have clients come in and they've got beautiful photorealistic renders, and if they had AI generate that, but they look good enough for us to create ads and reservation funnel pages, then yes, technically that will work. But I warn you, that definitely can work, but I want to understand if it can be made. Because Adam, you touched on it, the coolest cooler back in 2013, the coolest cooler was the coolest design cooler, had speakers, had everything, biggest party machine you've ever seen. They sell $13 million in pre-sales on Kickstarter. And then guess what? They couldn't manufacture and deliver it because they were upside down. They didn't know how much it was going to cost to deliver that unit. They didn't have any manufacturing done.
You got to make it, you got to make sure, because that Rabbit device is getting cooked online right now before they've actually got it out by, what's his name? The coffee guy. The guy who runs a YouTube channel, Ice Coffee Hour or whatever his name is. He does the, he does the big investing in these guys.
CoffeeZilla.
CoffeeZilla's just roasted these guys, going, they're never going to launch this. And it was not good. So you got to make sure that you can deliver.
Yeah, and also,
but back to that, like back to his point though, like it's a really good point, because like technically, yes, you can use AI to create a photorealistic render, but I care more about knowing that there's a manufacturing team behind it.
So make sure you can. I mean, the client we've mentioned before is on the pod doing 8 figures selling saunas. To this day, he sells off renders. Even though he's got the physical saunas, he still uses the renders because you cannot tell the difference. You can get beautiful work done with a CAD file or an STL file. But guys, I want you to understand, like, some people are listening to this go, oh, 10 grand. I'm like, dude, 10 grand is nothing. Put your big boy pants on if you're going to launch, because your time, like what's your time worth, rather than going to people who are experts in this and have done this. And I'll tell you, James, you had some questions, and then I'm going to close off with something. Go ahead. Will?
Yeah, I want to touch on that because, like I said earlier, like my goal at LaunchBoom is to have the most affordable but most effective product launch solution. Like that's what we're doing here. And my goal is actually to continue to lower our pricing wherever possible, kind of pass our savings on to our clients. But most importantly, if we have a client come into LaunchBoom, all right, let's just say it's like someone who's never launched a product. It's a great product for what we do. And let's just say 10 grand is a crazy number. They're scared of that number. We actually have a financing tool where we can break that into payments too, to make it easier on them.
That's cool.
Yeah, I just to echo what Eric said and Edward said here about, 10 grand. Go and order a container full of product that doesn't sell, and you do it for 100. I'd spend the 10 times to work out what's going to go or not.
This is a no-brainer.
No, it's not a no-brainer at all. When you had your ass handed to you a few times in business, you change your tune for sure.
For us, and I just want to share this for the listeners, Eric and myself and Ash, I don't know if you remember Ash, Will, or whether you met him, but in WeWork when I was there, the dude in the booth next to me was an Australian from Perth, and he started a fintech startup. Did you ever meet Ash? I don't know if you met him.
I did. I have met Ash, yeah.
Yeah. I think we might have played poker together one night or something, but he's now back here in Australia. He raised $12 million for his fintech in the States, took it onto did an IPO, and the whole thing. Now he's back here, but he and I and Eric are now launching the product that we took to you. But anyway, what I was going to say is that with that project that we talked to you about, this is how we see it and why we were knocking on your door, is it's highly demonstrative. The product itself, it's innovative, it's new to market. People haven't seen this before. And so I think the best are things that are visually appealing, like that, people can see it and there's a bit of wow factor to it. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. But what we see is that you have this sort of one-time opportunity to find product market fit, to make sure you're onto something, but more importantly, to actually prove that you have product market fit that you can then leverage. So for example, if we go with you guys and we get like a $200,000 raise on a $20,000 goal, right? It's PR. We can now take that, like what I've said to Will, have you got any contacts into the home shopping network? And as it turns out, Will does have some very strong contacts into the home shopping network television shows in the US. We can then knock on the door and say, hey, we went to raise 20 grand in pre-sales. We 10x'd what we were going for. So we know that we have product market fit, which lowers the risk for the home shopping network to then take us on, right? So we take that. We can also leverage that in our PR and marketing. See the product that did was oversubscribed by 1,000% on Kickstarter, right? And that becomes part of our marketing to the wider world. So it's all about seeing it as an overall strategy as well, all going to retail. We were oversubscribed on Kickstarter by 1,000%. That's going to help a retail buyer want to buy your product. So there's a whole strategy, I think, around that. And then also I asked Will, who else could help us? And this is a great question. And Will was instrumental in introducing me to people in LA. And one of those people was Tom Marchicello. And Tom, who's an investment banker, one of the first things Tom said to me, he said, nice to meet you, Adam. How can I help you? And I was like, wow, like what a question. Australians don't do that very often. Americans like Will, they do. They're like, why did you move to America? Who do you need to meet? Because Will's an entrepreneur done his whole life there. And I asked Will, who do you know that can help us take this bigger? And he said, well, look, we can get this going here, but I've got a friend in San Diego who runs an agency that specializes. Maybe you could tell us, Will, about that. Because I want people to hear how different business is in America. Like this dude, his story of how he exited his own agency and retained ownership. Can you just tell us that story quickly? Because it's such an amazing story.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you guys in America, like we're all about success, and we're all about helping each other get there. And for me personally, guys, just to kind of cut to it, it's like, it's all about who you surround yourself by. So if you're listening to this, guys, like I want you to take a step back and think about like, who do you spend the most amount of time with? The 5 people you spend the most amount of time with, because that's honestly like where you're going to end up. So for me personally, like I've always tried to put myself in situations where I'm challenged and I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I always want to be challenged with like who I surround myself by, because that's how I create opportunity. That's how I continue to learn and continue to grow. And honestly, that's why Adam and I have been friends the last however many years, Adam. I don't even know how long it's been.
Over a decade.
But Adam, I want to go back to something you said earlier. So the main reason I was so excited about starting LaunchBoom and crowdfunding in general is, to your point, it's like for me, I've raised millions of dollars for previous ventures. I've leveraged debt. I've worked with angel investors like Adam. I've worked with VCs. I've done it a lot of different ways. And for me, I couldn't believe that like I could take a product idea, I could validate and test it on Kickstarter, to Adam's point, have a massive campaign outcome well above the funding goal that I initially set. But now I have more leverage to go do bigger deals beyond Kickstarter. So maybe I want to go raise growth capital after Kickstarter, right? So if I have a successful Kickstarter campaign, now I can look at an investor like Adam in the eye and say, hey, Adam, I just pre-sold thousands of units over the last 60 days, and I generated hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in pre-sales. I think there is demand here. You know, like you've got that confidence and you've already done the hard part. You've done the validation piece. So now, theoretically, when you're taking that next step and potentially raising growth capital, you can potentially raise more money from Adam and give away less equity and hold on and continue to control the equity of your business that you've started. So I always tell entrepreneurs everywhere, like, I want you to bootstrap as long as possible, as painful as it may be, and don't raise growth capital until you actually know the value of your company. Because I've had some previous business ventures where I didn't know what the true value was of my company, and I raised money too early. And next thing I know, I'd have a successful exit, but my investors made all the money. And, you know, I'd make a little bit, but I did all the work. And I remember being like, that wasn't fun. I don't want to do that again. So crowdfunding, for anyone out there looking to launch a new consumer product idea, it's honestly the best possible way to validate and test and generate your early adopters and validate demand. And now you're going to have so much more leverage to go do a licensing deal, go to e-com, Amazon, retail. There's a variety of directions you can head after crowdfunding. Crowdfunding's, in my opinion, just the best place to launch. But all my clients that come into LaunchBoom, they want to have a big launch, but they really want to have a profitable, scalable business, right? And so to Adam's earlier point, I've made great relationships with industry experts within retail, Amazon, e-commerce. I know licensing teams that are really interested in the licensing play. Sometimes that's a good direction to go. And so a lot of my clients, as they're going through LaunchBoom, I usually sync with many of them that want help growing and scaling beyond crowdfunding. And for me, it's a lot of fun getting them kind of plugged into my network and helping them get there faster to avoid a lot of the common mistakes and pitfalls that I've made as an entrepreneur along my journey. And that's why LaunchBoom is so much fun for me, because it's like a culmination of my entire experience. And at the end of the day, what LaunchBoom really is, it's like the number one advocate for the entrepreneur. We're trying to reduce risk. We're trying to make it more fun. And we're trying to encourage more product creators to have the courage to take that idea to market. And
yeah, I mean, that's it. I mean, it's about building relationships. And the guy you were mentioning to me in San Diego, you know, that's what he does. He takes, once you've seen product market fit, they come in, they can take equity in the project and then take you national in the US and blow you up, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, like Adam, I have so many close friends here in San Diego that have had many, many exits over the years. And I'd say for me at LaunchBoom specifically, the last 10 years, like the Dr. Squatches of the world, I wish we had another episode just carved out where I could share success story after success story with ordinary people that had the courage to take their product to market and fortunately found me first, right? But ultimately, guys, like doing business in America, it can be very, very lucrative. And especially if you've got an innovative idea out there. And so again, it's really hard for me to take an average product that's really not creative and make a big splash. But if you put a little bit of thought into how to differentiate yourself and allow me to help work through that with you, it's all about, at the end of the day, like having not only an innovative product, but having the right marketing behind it so that you can create the interest and create the excitement.
Yeah, it really solves the number one question that investors are going to ask, which is around risk. Like, I'm going to take a risk that this works. We're like, actually, here's 1,000 pre-orders. Like that's a totally different investment proposal to one that says, I think this is going to work. So what you said, it's not just the raise, it's the control, the power, the equity, the opportunity, the doors that it opens for you, that are really cool.
So Adam, let me give you guys another crazy concept to think about and muddle on. So over the years, a lot of my clients, once they go through LaunchBoom and Kickstarter and they have a nice, big, successful campaign, a lot of them do want to continue to grow and scale. Now, what I've had a lot of success doing over recent years is taking those clients that complete the crowdfunding on Kickstarter, on Indiegogo, and once they've delivered their promise to their backer and the backers have the products in their hands, then I've taken some of those clients to equity crowdfunding. And check this out. So then what we do is we then are able to justify a higher valuation of the business on the equity platforms. The equity crowdfunding platforms are the entrepreneur's best friend when it comes to raising growth capital. You can get a higher valuation, but what I do is I leverage all that work we did at LaunchBoom and through Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and I market directly to them through email marketing. You don't even have to spend money on this. So what you do is once you have that community and you have those thousands of happy backers that are using your product and they feel like much closer relationship with the entrepreneur because they help them take that product idea and turn it into reality, what you do is you send them an email and you say, hey, we're raising capital. We're selling equity for the first time ever. And because of your support, we want to give you the first right to own shares in our company. So what we do is we send an email to all the customers that have come through the crowdfunding on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. We invite them into the equity platform to become an investor. And we've seen consistent conversions of like 25 to 40% conversions. And mind you, Adam, you already paid for that consumer. So now what we're doing is we're turning the consumers into investors, and we're doing it legally.
With people who already know and like and trust you. because they know you, they like the product, and they trust that you deliver. So it's Will, you're a genius, my friend. I love it.
Now, that was one of my next questions. I'm like, how many businesses have you invested in once you see the success? But you beat me to it.
Yeah.
It's funny now. Like my wife is like slapped me on the wrist so many times. She's like, Will, you got to stop investing in all these different products.
Look, I love your story, Will, because it just provides so much inspiration, and it's been a joy to watch you build this business, and everything you've done along the way with and your wife as well. And I just want to thank you for being a friend over all these years and sharing. Like, I love hanging with Will because you can see the enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm is so genuine.
Yeah,
genuine. Yeah.
When we did our call just recently, Will was he's just about finishing a Pablo Escobar style mansion in Mexico. It's like
In Mexico.
it's like an acre or something right on the beach. It's absolutely amazing. And I had Josh, my son, with me when we did the call, and Will was very kind to talk to Josh and show him the place, and Josh was really pumped to see it. It was like, oh my God, how sick is that house? Like, it's just so good to see entrepreneurs winning and winning from helping other entrepreneurs win. So I can't wait to come up there, mate, and have a Cuban cigar with you on the beach in Mexico and the new pad when it's finished.
Better only be a Cuban.
It'll just be a Cuban cigar. There'll be no wacky tobacco in it.
Tijuana special.
It'll be so good, Will, and mate, we really appreciate it. So connecting with you, if you go to our LaunchBoom, just mention that you heard this pod, you heard Will on Unemployable. Tell them you're one of our clients from down under or wherever you're listening to this podcast. They're going to take great care of you. They're really good friends, and treat it like a relationship, because for Aussies trying to crack American markets, a guy like Will, if you build a proper relationship with somebody, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it does work, it works. But remain respectful, build relationships, and over time, it might not be now, but over time, those relationships become really valuable, as is evidenced here today. We'll have been friends for over a decade. But, go up there, have a chat to these guys. They can't do miracles, but if you've got a good product, they can give you a red hot shot at it and show you how to leverage it up and really do well.
What is the best way to get in contact with you, Will, or your team?
Well, honestly, to keep it simple, guys, I would say just go to LaunchBoom.com. If you go to LaunchBoom.com, you can literally schedule a call with a real human being on my team.
Yep.
And we can actually explore your product ideas, and we can definitely help give you the best direction possible.
Awesome. Will, thank you so much for joining us from lovely La Jolla in San Diego. Have a great day up there, buddy. You're actually just going into the night now, so have a great evening. And let's connect soon, and let me know when the building's done, and I'll come up and visit you guys in Mexico. It'll be great to see you.
For sure, Adam. And hey, thank you guys so much for having me. I really enjoyed this today. And again, let's do this more, Adam. This is fun.
Yeah, I think we should do a round two and just dive more into some of the other stuff that you're doing, and more stories of case studies, because I think that'd be really helpful. But we can schedule that for another time. So guys, for all of you listening at home, no matter where you're listening to this, whether you're on a plane, train, automobile, or at home, that is it for the week. Thank you so much for being here, Will. Thank you. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment below so that we can share the love with Will for taking his valuable time to share it with us today. Comment, it really does help, but especially subscribe. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you on the flip side. Bye for now.
Hey there, I hope you enjoyed that episode of Unemployable. If you'd like to watch another episode, just click there.